Hello, I am Ruby Falconer, and this is a Shamanic Egyptian Astrological update for the week of June 1st, 2020. Well, what a difference a few days makes. Last week, when I did this astrological update, there was not a lot to talk about from an astrological perspective, but clearly a lot has happened. What I would like to remind everyone is that this entire year, 2020, is a year of tremendous transformation and change. And the primary transformations that we're going to be going through is to the structure of our society. Astrologically, this is the year of the great shift. It started with an alignment between Saturn and Pluto in the sign Capricorn. Jupiter joined them in Capricorn. All three of these planets are now retrograde. Capricorn is the sign that most addresses the structure of society. What this great shift energy has meant, and we astrologers have known this, we've been looking forward to this, not in a good way necessarily, but we've been wondering what was going to happen this year because we knew that circumstances were going to conspire to dismantle society and give the potential of something new to take its place. But before we get to that new society that we're all longing for, we're going to have to go through a societal death. And this alignment of these three planets indicated that it was going to happen this year. So we are in the midst of it. Now, we astrologers did not know what was going to kick this off. What kicked it off was the coronavirus. And as a result of the coronavirus, we had a societal meltdown. We've had people losing their jobs. We've had people having to be in isolation. We've had a lot of frustration and a lot of anger and a lot of irritation around the restrictions that came with the quarantine around the coronavirus. So emotions are heightened. Then on top of it, we now have Venus, who's Isis in the Egyptian pantheon. We have Venus retrograde, and it's retrograde in Gemini. So we have a cacophony of voices around what's going on. Is this a conspiracy? Is this real? Do we need to have a quarantine? Do we need to have social distancing? Is it all in our imagination? On and on and on we go. Is it better to open up the society and let some people die? Is it better for the economy? All of this, conflicting ideas around what to do. And that's going on with Venus retrograde. So now we have 4 planets retrograde, and 3 of them are the great shift planets, and 1 of them is Venus. This week, the week of June 1st, we have Venus retrograde moving into a square to Mars. Now, Venus and Mars are meant to operate as a team. This is true within us as individuals, and is also true within society, within our collective. Venus is about values. It's about what we want to receive. What do we love? What do we want to allow to come into us? What is our highest ideals, our highest values? That's Venus. And when Venus is retrograde, Venus turns retrograde about once every 18 months for about 6 weeks at a time. There is an opportunity both individually and as a collective to go in and see if we are still in sync with our values as we've presented them. Is this still what we value? Is this still what's important to us? That's an important question that all of us as individuals need to be asking ourselves right now. Now, once Venus knows what she values, and Venus is the yin principle, and we all have it within us, doesn't matter what gender we are, then Venus tells Mars, and Mars goes out and manifests it for us. So Mars is creative action and drive. And where Mars, the warrior, gets his marching orders from is from Venus, from values. So basically our yang pole, our masculine pole, in both individually and also in society, is meant to be directed by the yin. Yin determines what we value, what we want, and then Mars goes out and gets it for us. That's in an ideal situation. When Venus and Mars are square, as they are this week, there's some difficulty around that. For one thing, Venus is retrograde. She's not sure what she wants. And Mars, therefore, doesn't know what to do. And because he's in Pisces, he's kind of spinning his wheels. So we have a problem. And the way it has manifested in the external world is in the this upheaval, the societal upheaval over this latest murder of an unarmed black man, George Floyd, at the hands of police. There's been a series of these going on for quite some time now, men and women, black men and women, being murdered by either police or by white men who think they're police in some level, who are acting like as if they are police. Capricorn, the great shift energy is primarily taking place in Capricorn, rules the police. So we have a dissolving away of the established structure of how the police operate. We're in the midst of that right now. And we have a tug of war going on. We have a full-blown battle going on because we're not in touch with values. We're not in agreement as a societal level around what we most want to receive as a society. So what's going on this week is Venus and Mars will be exactly square tomorrow on June 2nd. Then on June 3rd, the next day, the sun will be aligned with Venus. The sun brings illumination to the question at hand, which is what do we value? And then on the 6th, which is on Saturday, we have the sun in a square to Mars. So the illumination will be challenging what's going on from the Mars perspective. So unfortunately, I do think that we're in for some continued upheaval throughout this week, but it's all part of this ongoing dismantleization of society as we know it. You know, if society isn't working and we use reason to try to say that it's not working, at a certain point, reason doesn't work anymore. And so there are people who will resort to violence, and that's what's going on both sides of the equation. And certainly, you know, things are multifaceted at this time. So this is what's going on this week. Now, what's also going on this week, and it's very important to pay attention to this, is we are moving into a full moon on the 5th, on Friday, June 5th. And this full moon will be a lunar eclipse, and it's a partial lunar eclipse. It's not visible in the United States, but it will be visible in Asia. But it's only going to be a partial eclipse. But nonetheless, it's an eclipse. And what it's going to do is it's going to initiate a different phase of experience. Eclipses happen about once every 6 months or so. They always come in pairs. Sometimes they come in threes. This particular eclipse series will be come in 3 of them. The first one is on June 5th. There's going to be a solar eclipse, and it's an annular eclipse, which is full, except you see a ring of fire around the darkened face of the sun. That's going to take place at the solstice, and it depends on where you live in the world, but it'll be either June 20th or the 21st, and that's the solstice. Again, that depends. It's primarily on the 20th, and some places it's the 21st. So the solar eclipse is going to be conjunct to the solstice, and then we have a third lunar eclipse, which is another partial, and that's on June 4th and 5th, again, depending on where you are in the world. And that one will be visible in the Americas. So what these eclipses do is they create a window, a kind of a portal from one phase of experience to another. Or you could call it a tunnel, or you could call it a birth canal. The the phase of experience that we've been in right now started in January. So it has everything to do with the coronavirus. And so the last almost 6 months now have been dominated by the coronavirus. And I'm not going to say that the coronavirus isn't going to be a player for the rest of the year. Science says it will be. Most people expect that it will be. Astrologically, I will not be surprised if it continues to make its presence. But we are exiting a certain phase of experience that began in January. And so it's very important this week, to think about what it is that you're bringing to completion. Because over the next month, from approximately June 5th through July 4th, we're going to be moving through the tunnel between the two phases. And so, when you're moving through a tunnel, you've left something behind, and you know what you've left behind, but you don't know where you're going yet. You don't know what it's going to look like when you come out. And so we're going to be moving through that birth canal for about a month. And it's sort of like being in between time. And the feeling of not being able to make things happen in the world, if anything, is going to accelerate. Mercury is going to be turning retrograde during this tunnel. Mercury turns retrograde on June 17th. We will have Venus turning direct on July 24th, 25th, right in there. But also, right in that area, on June 22nd, Neptune is going to be changing direction. It's going to turn retrograde. So there's going to be a lot of activity going around right during that time. And I'll address that more when we get to it. But right now, what's important to understand is during this period, we're not going to have a lot of forward movement. We're in this place where we're being held, and we're not going to be able to find solutions. We're going to have to kind of sit in the I don't know. And different people have different tolerance around sitting in the I don't know. For some people, that's extremely difficult. And the more they have to sit with it, the more angry they start to feel, the more frustrated they start to feel, the more irritation that comes up. And even if that's not us, we still have to contend with it. So this is where we are right now. So what I would like to offer for today as a little journey, a little meditation, is I would like us to meet with Mars. In the Egyptian pantheon, Mars is aligned with Set, the warrior king. And in traditional astrology, Mars is the god of war. He's how we get angry. It's certainly creative drive and energy, because creation is the flip side of anger. It's the moving things out into the world. However, if we look at the Greek and Roman myths, Mars is his Roman name. His Greek name was Ares. And in those myths, he doesn't show up unless there's a battle. That's all he's about, is he shows up to encourage and to drive forth the battle itself. He has that rush around being in conflict. And so he's all about death and cruelty and destruction. That's who he is. Right now, Mars is in Pisces, a water sign. So the most positive expression of Mars in Pisces could be in what's called sometimes the spiritual warrior. But the shadow side of Mars in Pisces is about confusion, delusion, not knowing how to push energy out in any kind of a healthy way, not knowing what to do with it, spinning one's wheels. Mars is not naturally comfortable in water, and particularly in the water sign Pisces, which is a somewhat diffuse sign. And then we have Venus retrograde in Gemini. Venus is Isis. In the astrological counterpart to Gemini is the Sphinx. The Sphinx is an earth altar. And the way we can understand that around Gemini is all about being interested in a lot of different things, about fluidity in the way that air is fluid. Pisces is fluid in terms of water. I have a joke about Pisces. Just draw a line in water and see how well that works. That's Pisces energy. I like to call Gemini the hummingbird sign, because Gemini goes from thing to thing to thing. And when Gemini is very comfortable with that, it's a good thing, because there's a dance through energies. With it being retrograde, it's been a little bit harder. It's a little bit of feeling of spinning its wheels. So we have that feeling of a lot of energy moving, but it's not going anywhere. And so what I would like to offer is an opportunity to meet with Isis, who we have been meeting with regularly. She is the Queen Mother of Heaven, but also meet with Set. Now, Set is the warrior king, and has elements of Mars. He is a murderer. He kills his brother Osiris, not once but twice, and he doesn't do it for any good reason. It's a little bit like the Cain and Abel story. But there's another story that's not always told about Set, that I think adds a little bit to his complexity. Every night, according to Egyptian myth, Ra, the sun god, gets off of his chariot and goes into the underworld. And every night there are monsters who want to gobble him. Set accompanies Ra, and he uses his warrior strength, he uses his determination, he uses his focus to kill the monsters. And he does that because he loves the earth. And he knows that if Ra does not complete his journey through the underworld, the sun won't rise and the earth will die. So we see here the warrior as the sacred protector. We see him as a spiritual warrior. Now, he is still a death dealer. That's important to know. That being a spiritual warrior doesn't mean not being a killer, not killing something. In this case, what Mars is going to be doing as we proceed during this year, and he's going to be a player later on in September when we have all three of the great shift planets turning direct. Mars is going to be a player then. What he's doing is he is the killing force that is going to dismantle society as we know it. So I would like to take all of us on a journey with these two. And we're going to focus particularly on Set. Set is your internal warrior. And he is going to step forth and speak to you about what your sacred cause is. And then we're also going to bring forth Isis, Queen Mother of Heaven. She is the nurturer. We can always lie back in her arms. She's always with us through any transformation and change. And she's going to remind us what is most important to us. So I would like to invite everyone to take a few nice deep breaths. Get yourself comfortable. Dropping down into your bodies, all the way down to your fingertips, all the way down to your toes. Letting go of distraction. Coming fully present. And I want to invite you to imagine that you are standing on a hill, a bluff, an outcrop, above a field of battle. It is a war. There is a war taking place. You are safe. You are in an observer position. But you are seeing the battle take place. And appearing next to you is the warrior king Set. And I invite you in your mind's eye to turn and look at him. He is an incredibly powerful figure. He is strong, he is determined, he is fierce. The warrior king may come to you in the gendered form of the feminine. Throughout all cultures, there are symbols of the warrior feminine. In either case, this is the being who knows how to use a weapon, to cut cords, to destroy. There are times when something must be destroyed. This is a death dealer. And there are times when something must die. Coming and standing next to him now is Isis, Queen Mother of Heaven. She is strong and powerful in her own right. She is nurturing and she is loving. It's not an either or. She loves and nurtures the warrior, and she uses him as an instrument to bring back to her that which she wants to experience. So I would like to invite you now to go on a journey with these two and allow them to show you your deepest longing. What is it that you most want to receive? What is it that you as an individual most want to experience? Want to come into your field, both for yourself as well as for your family, for the world that you live on. And I invite you also to take that energy into you and communicate it to your warrior. Ask him to empower you to manifest your deepest desires in your life. So I'm going to be quiet now and allow you to experience a journey with Sat, the warrior king, in whatever form this powerful figure manifests for you, and Isis, Queen Mother of Heaven, the nurturer, the receiver. These two have gifts for you. These gifts may come as a symbol, a word, an image, a memory, a color, a message of some sort. First, Isis steps forth, and she offers you her gift, which is a reminder of what it is that you most wish to receive deep within your heart, deep within your soul. Not what you think you want to receive, but what you want to receive in that deepest part of yourself, that soul calling. Receive your gift from Isis. Now Set offers you his gift. His gift is an instrument of your ability to manifest that which you wish to receive. Again, it may come as a symbol, an image, a memory, a word, a color, a message of some sort. Whatever it is, receive it. This gift is to help you manifest that which you wish to receive. Receive now your gift from Set. These two, Isis and Set, merge with each other. The principle of receptivity and the principle of action merge, and they come forth and enter you, merged together within you. What you want to receive and the way you will manifest it. So take a moment now to breathe in this sacred marriage within you and to feel its strength and power coursing through your body. And remember to breathe. Give thanks to these two powerful expressions of the yin and the yang within you. And make a quiet commitment to yourself to do your best to nurture and support their manifestation in your life. Take a nice deep breath. Come back out into the room. And I support you in writing down whatever you've received. And as we approach this full moon lunar eclipse on Friday, take it with you. There's something that needs to be completed, something that speaks to these last 6 months that needs to be brought to conclusion as you prepare to enter the tunnel between the worlds, the portal between the worlds. So thank you, and we will talk again.